This is an intro to Revit video. You might want to open up this document and hit kind of step-by-step of everything that we'll be covering. It's a great resource as we go along. So the first thing that you need to do is open up the latest version of Revit. So you're going to go down to the bottom left-hand corner and click the Start icon, or you can hit Command on your keyboard. And then all you have to do is start typing in Revit. Please open up the most recent version of Revit, and then Revit will start to open. Okay, while Revit is loading, what I would like you to do is go to this document, and you can use Control+ to zoom in. I need you to copy down this image into your sketchbook. If you do not have a sketchbook, please go ask the teacher for one now. So please pause this video and sketch out this image now. Okay, once you are done sketching out that image, you are ready to kind of learn the basics of Revit. So I'll kind of go back and forth from this image and Revit to kind of show you what's going on. So some key terms that I will use is the Revit icon, so the big R. So once you look at the big R, that is a lot like, well, I guess let's first open up an architectural template. You will always open an architectural template. You will never open any other type of template. Very important, architectural template only. Okay, so let's open that up, and then you'll kind of see what the workspace looks like. And we'll start to define some terms. So you'll notice I always have this big R at the top left-hand corner of my screen. It's just like on Microsoft Word if you used File. So that's where you'll find to make a new project file, or to save, or to print. Okay, so that's just like File, okay, but you hit the big R. The next thing that I want to talk about is our tabs. So all up here you'll see tabs. So if I say, hey, go to the Insert tab, you're going to go up here and find the word Insert, and then you'll click on it. Then within your tabs, we have little icons here. Okay, so this is the image icon. So I might say, go to the View tab and find the Section icon. This is the Section icon. Okay, so those are kind of some terms. So again, tabs, and these are icons. All right, this whole area up here is called the ribbon. So if I tell you to look at the ribbon, you're looking up top here. It's the ribbon that goes all the way across your screen. That's your ribbon. Another feature is the quick commands. So up here, these are your quick commands, and we'll kind of talk about those a little bit more, but you can see that you have your open. How do you open a file? This is how you quickly save your file to floppy disk. How do you save your file? And you'll notice if you hover over anything, it's going to tell you what it is. Okay, so we'll mainly use this for this little house here, and we'll get to that in a little bit. The next part of Revit that you're kind of seeing on your screen is your Properties window. So the goal of your Properties window is to give you detailed information about an object. Okay, so if I have, let's say, a chair in here, and in the properties, it'll tell me everything about that chair, the height of it, the width of it, maybe the material it's made out of. Okay, so it gives you kind of information about whatever you've selected on. Then the next window that we have here is our project browser, and our project browser gives us all the different views of our house. We can see the views from the front, the back, the side, looking down at it, all those different views. So that's your project browser. And then your biggest window that you have here is your project window. So that's where you actually draw in your walls and your floors and put components in, and you'll start to see your project come alive here. Okay, and then kind of the final section that we have is the bottom, which is our project settings. So it looks really small. It might be small on your screen. Hopefully it's a little bit bigger. But these are our settings. So that's how we're going to make things look very realistic, how we're going to kind of hide things, turn them on and off, because we might not always want to see a wall or a door or something like that. How do we hide it, and how do we get it back to come on? So those are your project settings. Okay, so those are your different areas. I just wanted to make you guys more familiar with all those different terms. So again, you can kind of see that in your notes, tabs, the ribbon, icons, all those different parts. Okay, so now we're actually going to start creating some of these things. So we're going to do a wall, window, and doors. Okay, something to note is you want to make it within your elevation triangle. So I'll tell you what that's all about. So let's go back to Revit. You'll notice that you have these little elevation triangle, rectangle They kind of look like mini houses in a way. You always want to draw on the inside of those. Okay, so we're going to start our project off. So let's create a wall. So I'm going to go over to my architecture tab and click on the wall icon. Okay, just click on the icon. And then you'll notice over my properties, it gives me detailed information about what I have selected. So if I click here, you'll notice that there's a million different types of walls that you can choose from. Okay, so let's select, let's do the top one. Let's hit the exterior brick on CMU on metal stud. So we'll click on that. And then we're going to go over to our project window and we're going to start drawing. So let's just click. And then once you start dragging your mouse, you'll notice you're actually drawing a wall, and it gives you the dimensions. So I'm going to draw a 60-foot wall. Okay, I'm going to make it nice and big. Then I'm going to go down, I don't know, 48 feet. You can kind of make whatever you want. Make sure you're snapping, though, just for our purposes right now, making those nice 90-degree angles. You'll notice Revit automatically does that for you. Okay, and then if you ever want to get out of a command, so I've already made my rectangle, I don't want to draw another wall, and you notice it'll want to draw another wall. All you have to do is hit escape. Okay, so hit escape twice on your keyboard, top left hand corner, and that gets you out of any command. Okay, so let's do that again. So let's go click on wall, pretend I want to draw a wall, so maybe I'll just draw a wall up here. Click, that's the only wall I want. I don't want to draw anymore. You're just going to hit escape twice, and that gets you fully out of the command. Okay, but I'm going to delete that wall right now. So the way you delete that wall is by clicking on it and hitting the delete key on your keyboard. Okay. All right, so the next thing that we're going to add in is a door. So go to your architecture tab and click on door. Okay, and then you'll notice in my properties it gives me detailed information about this door. Okay, so I can choose different size doors. So maybe I want a 34 by 80 inch door. Okay, so the 34 width and a height of 80 inches. So I'll click on that. And then you can put on your wall anywhere you'd like, you can add in doors. Okay, you can kind of go door crazy. So start clicking and you can add in doors. Once you're done adding in doors, always hit escape twice, and that gets you out of the command. Okay, something I didn't know is we are in a top-down view. We're going to kind of define what that term means here in a little bit, but I'm looking down at my building that I'm creating right now. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to add in is a window. So if you go to your architecture tab and click on window, you can then add a window. So properties, you'll notice in my properties I have different size windows here that I can choose from. So let's choose a square window. So 24 by 24 makes it square. And let's pop in some windows between my doors. Again, it doesn't really matter where you put them. We're just learning the tools. Okay, so add some windows. As soon as you are done, you can hit escape. Okay. So now we get to see what we actually created in 3D view. So you're going to go up to your quick commands, which is up here. This is your quick command bar, and you're going to hit your house. Okay, you're going to hit your little dog house. Click on that. And now this is your view in 3 dimensions. So you see how you were drawing a line as a wall? Well, it's an actual wall and it has materials. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to zoom in and zoom out and move around and all that good stuff right now. To zoom in, say I want a closer look at this window, all you got to do is just hover over whatever you want to zoom in towards and then use the scroll wheel on your mouse. Okay, it's in the middle of your mouse, that scroll wheel, and start zooming in on it. And you can do the same thing. You can kind of back on out. So it's going to zoom wherever your mouse is. Okay, so that's zooming in and zooming out. The next tool that we're going to learn is how to pan and how to orbit. So if I click on my scroll wheel, okay, so again, this is on my mouse. I can't show it to you, unfortunately. But if I click on the scroll wheel on my mouse, so click, and you'll see your mouse, your cursor turns into a little move symbol. Click on that scroll wheel and hold it down and then move side to side. Okay, so this is called panning. You're just moving side to side. Okay, so maybe like your building's all the way over here and you want to move it to the center of your screen, you would use pan. So again, click on your scroll wheel, out in white space, don't click on an actual object, click in white space, and then move side to side or up and down. Okay. The next one is called pan, and this is, you gotta do keyboard and mouse action. So you're gonna hold down Shift on your keyboard and hold down the scroll wheel at the same time. And in white space, you'll click down. So I'm out in white space, hold down Shift, hold down my scroll wheel, and then you'll move your mouse around and you can then orbit. Okay, this is called orbiting if you want a different view of your building. Okay, you'll also notice while I orbit that this little box up here is moving. That's another way that you can move around your building. So you can use this little cube and you can hit back. I want to see the back of my building, or use this arrow. I want to see the right side, or if I hit the little house button, I want to see it in 3D. Okay, kind of see the whole thing. All right, so that's kind of how you move around. The next thing I want to show you is how to make it look realistic. So down in our project settings, again, project settings are down here. We're going to make it look realistic. So 1, 2, 3 kind of icons in. You're going to click on the visual style. Okay, so it's this little box here. Click on that box and we're going to change it to realistic. Okay, so anytime you really want to see what's the color of something, what does it look like, you're going to change it to realistic, and then you can kind of zoom in, maybe orbit around a little bit, and you'll see all these materials that have already been created for you, which is pretty cool. Okay. All right, so the next thing that we're going to kind of think about a little bit more is looking at the detail about each item. So I'm going to click on my window, and like I said, our properties window over here gives us all the detailed information about that object. So if I click on it, it's telling me, hey, it's on level 1, and it's the sill height, so the bottom of the window, that's the sill, is 3 feet from the bottom. Okay, so from here to the bottom of the window is 3 feet. So let's say I want to move that window up. Let's change that sill height to 5 feet. Okay, so all you have to do is click on it, type in 5, and then hit apply, and you'll notice that window has now moved up. Okay, we'll get into materials a little bit more, but you can also click on edit type. Okay, we'll do more of this in the future, and you can change the height of your window here, the width, a bunch of different things, but we're not going to do that quite yet because there's more to it than that. Okay, so we just hit OK right now. Another thing that you can do, if I zoom out here, I can click on any object and change it to be something different. So let's click on a wall, click on any wall that you want, and then I'm going to go over to my properties and I'm going to be able to change that wall. So let's say I want it to be, I don't know, let's do a generic 8-inch masonry wall. Okay, so let's change it to that. And you'll notice now this wall has changed. It is different than my other wall. This was my exterior brick on CMU. This is now just a masonry wall. Okay, so you can just click on something and change it over in the properties to be something different. Okay.